Question one is, why do you want this job, and why are you the best candidate for it? Of the committees you will assume, which is the most important to you? And as it relates to Georgia Avenue, what are your legislative and budget priorities?
Thank you. Well, I think my balance of experience in government, being on the school board, also my legal experience would make me a qualified council member. As I know, being on the board, you had to balance an interest in legislation, ability to read and understand budgets, and do rulemaking. So it's a job that I've kind of done in a way. But as far as Georgia Avenue goes, I think there is a need to work on neighborhood schools and also youth programs. So we have positive outlets for youth. You know, the athletic field and so forth that's near here is a good example of that. Obviously, along Georgia Avenue, you need positive business development, storefronts that, you know, are spruced up and, you know, really get Georgia Avenue looking good. I'm a big fan of the transportation that's been discussed here, the circulator bus and so forth. I use the circulator downtown. So I think we need to make Georgia Avenue just as, you know, on the way up, like H Street Northeast is and some of the other areas. So I think those would be my main focus. The other area I'll mention real quick is human services. I think sometimes there's a tendency to put shelter services and that sort of thing in certain parts of the city. So we need to balance that.
The question is, why do I want this job? Why am I the best candidate for it? Of committees, I'll assume which would be the most important. And as it relates to Georgia Avenue, what are my legislative and budget priorities? I want this job because we have an urgent need for more effective leadership and more principled, ethical, and competent leadership for this city. And that's the primary reason why I want this job. I believe I'm the best candidate for the job based upon my experience as a legislator. I also believe that Mr. Orange is not as effective as he could be and has an ethical cloud hanging over his head, and that's a serious problem for this city. In terms of committees that I would take up, I think that politics came into play and restructured committees for the city. So economic development right now is taken up in the committee of the whole. It's not an effective way to focus on economic development. There should be an economic development committee, and it should include efforts around small business development and neighborhood revitalization. And that would be my legislative and budget priority. I'm a strong proponent of job creation, neighborhood revitalization, and through those committees, with some real laser focus on developing the sectors of the economy that are going to help grow neighborhoods and bring in jobs. That's what I'll focus on.
Well, I'm the best person for the job because I have a record, and I'm running on a record that is second to none. I was here when this government was at rock bottom, had a $518 million deficit, had the control board, had junk bond status, where our mayor had been stripped of all powers except for oversight over parks and recreation. Fast forward to 2006, we had $1.6 billion in the bank. Cranes were everywhere. Jobs were plentiful. We went from the $518 million deficit to that $1.6 billion in the bank, from junk bond status to AAA status, and all the mayor's powers have been restored. I had the most economic development than any other council member. I also jump-started school modernization when I fought to reopen McKinney Technology High School, followed by Noyes Elementary School. Fought for Ward 5, we had the first 3 recreation centers. Also got books for our children. Currently, right now, I am pushing forth a program for our young people, our 10,000 people in early childhood education. So I have a record that I'm running on, and I've never been involved in any unethical scandals. You don't see my name involved in scandals, although Mr. Shapiro would like to tell you that.
I think I'm the best candidate because I know this area. I am the freshest face. I've never served in elective office like the 3 gentlemen who are running. I'm the only female on the ticket. I know that I will not have to sign any bill to say that I'm going to be ethical, but some of the issues that I would be dealing with would be the Bruce Monroe at Parkview Elementary School, to make sure that we're taken care of and not go to 2018 Park Morton Housing Complex, the Howard University Gateway, and the Business Assistance Fund, so that we can put more money into our community, so that Georgia Avenue can look better than what Georgia Avenue is looking now. It's looking pretty good, isn't it, Sylvia? But I know it could look better with assistance and help from our mayor, from economic development. I would serve more than likely likely would like to serve on the Economic Development Committee because Georgia Avenue in this area, Ward 1, is in. If you see the cranes in the city, you see most of D cranes in Ward 1. We are a fast-growing city and aspect of the city, and we want to do what's right. It said in, so you guys know me.
Well, I'm running because I'm really fed up with the corruption. I'm fed up with the pay-to-play culture, and I'm also fed up with paying high taxes and getting poor services and having one of the worst educational systems in the country. So I want to be an agent of change, and why do I think be an agent of change? Is because, as I was saying before, I've already done it in my community as an ANC commissioner. As I've said, we had a lot of the same circumstances that you're dealing with on Georgia Avenue, and one of the things we had to do was to clean up the crime first. I mean, we weren't going to find retail that was willing to come to H Street as it was when I started as an ANC commissioner. So one of the things we did was to pass legislation that would, or actually get a moratorium through the regulatory agency, ABC board, to ban singles, basically the selling of single. That was one of the things that made the area much more pedestrian friendly. It's what that created a reduction in crime, and it's what created the circumstances for growth, for an economic development. So those are the kinds of things that I would emphasize here as well, and across the city, because a lot of the things that I would want for Georgia Avenue area are the same kinds of things, better schools, so forth, all across the city.
Thank you. So why do I want this job? Because I believe that if we had a council that was truly dedicated to actually serving the residents of District of Columbia, we could move the city forward in ways we have not been able to do in the past. I've got a career in public service, whether it's serving on nonprofit boards or working in the classroom, that demonstrates that I have a track record of really serving others and achieving measurable, increases in gains. So as a nonprofit leader, whether it was in a classroom or leading other teachers, we were able to measure the growth and change for young children in schools. I've got a proven track record as an education reformer, whether it was here with KIPP, where we brought the highest performing public school to middle school in the city to the community that had the lowest performing public middle schools available to them. With regard to which committee I would want to serve on, obviously I would love to serve on an education committee. I think that the council is off track right now by not having an education committee. We're doing a disservice to all of our residents. If we're going to transform District of Columbia, it's going to be because we have a high-performing school system where every child is guaranteed a great education. With regard to Georgia Avenue, we have got to find a way to grow and stimulate small business growth up and down the corridor.
I've been thinking about what is good at this government for the 50 years that I've been living in this town. And I've taken notes of creative ideas. I think that one of the things that I can bring is a lot of thinking outside the box. For example, our party is statehood green. And an idea I have for statehood, I got when I was walking down on the mall and saw this new World War II memorial. How many people have seen that? Okay, well, you have these columns, and then you have this big vacant piece of rectangular granite. I think we ought to have everybody who served in World War II from the district, everybody who died in World War II, everybody who was wounded. And one of the things I'm going to try to do is put together a group of people to go down there on Memorial Day with a big poster the size of that space and put it so people can see, and the media will see, just how much we have sacrificed and never been able to vote. And that's why I'm running.